Connecticut's only all-weather show. This is First Alert Weather Extra.
It is time for Wildlife versus Weather, and Jill Gilardi gives us the inside scoop on how chickens deal with the changing conditions. Well, from cool spring nights that require heat lamps for growing chicks to an early season heat wave pushing temperatures into the 90s, weather can have a major impact on chickens at every stage of life. We'll take a closer look at how changing conditions affect both young chicks and adult birds in this evening's Wildlife versus Weather. Late spring is one of the most challenging times for chickens because the weather can swing rapidly between chilly, damp nights and sudden heat waves. Adult chickens are generally hardy and can handle cool mornings, rain and breezy conditions because their full feathers insulate them well. But younger chicks are still developing those protective feathers and cannot regulate body temperature as effectively. During cool spring weather, chicks benefit greatly from being kept under a heat lamp like these right here, or brooder. Since cold rain, wind, or nighttime temperatures drops can happen very quickly, it gets really chilly, it can lead to weakness or even illness. Now, stable warmth during their first several weeks helps chicks grow properly, stay active, and feather out safely before transitioning fully outdoors. At the same time, a sudden stretch of hot weather, like several consecutive days in the 90s, well, that can create the opposite problem. Chickens do not sweat, so they cool themselves by panting, spreading their wings and resting in shaded areas. Adult birds may become less active, drink much more water, and temporarily reduce egg production during extreme heat. Young chicks are especially sensitive because they may still need supplemental warmth at night while becoming overheated during the day. In a heat wave, chicks under a heat lamp may spread far away from the heat source, pant, and appear lethargic if the brooder becomes too warm. This is why ventilation, shade, and access to cool, clean water becomes just as important as warmth during late spring. The season's weather extremes mean chicken keepers often have to balance protection from cold nighttime temperatures with preventing overheating during unusually hot afternoons. So overall, cold is generally the greater danger for young chicks, while heat tends to be the greater danger for fully grown chickens during extended hot weather. Back to you.